Now let's talk about U.S. national transportation security organizations. But firstly, I want to introduce four legal instruments contain the foundation of current transportation security arrangements. The first one is the Aviation and Transportation Security Act, ATSA. It was passed by the Congress in 2001. The first one, obviously, ATSA is responsible for aviation transportation security, right? The second one um, is the law for maritime transportation security. The name tells it, right? Maritime Transportation Security Act. It was passed by the Congress in 2002. The third one is not only about transportation security. The Homeland Security Act, HSA. Um, I'm not sure if you know that this HSA is the reason why there is the Department of Homeland Security today. So this act was mainly for the establishment of this new cabinet department. Okay. And the last one is a little bit special. It is not an act. It is a presidential directive, which means it is a administrative order from the president itself. It was from George Bush Jr., right? Homeland Security Presidential Directive 7, HSPD 7. So if you compare these four instruments, the last one is special because the first three, they are laws, they are acts, they need to get passed by the Congress, right? But the last one, presidential directive, does not need the Congress to prove it, to approve it. So the president himself can just give the order and sign it. And it is also very important. Okay, the HSPD 7 in 2003, it ordered DHS, Department of Homeland Security, to develop an important document. It's called sector-specific plans for transportation security. Okay, and SSP designated the TSA and the Coast Guard as lead agencies for the transportation systems, SSP. Okay, okay. So now let's talk about different documents and agencies who are defining roles and responsibilities of agencies, organizations for transportation security. So the first organization, I would say it's an organization. It's actually a commission. It's called 9/11 Commission. I mentioned this before. This commission was assigned by George Bush Jr. to thoroughly investigate 9/11 attacks, about what happened, and also the weakness of the country against terrorism, and also they also provided recommendations on how to improve the abilities of this country to defend itself from terrorism, and also these recommendations including transportation security associated ones. Okay, so this commission was established in 2002, and it finished its task in 2004, which means the commission was dismissed in 2004. And when the commission finished its job, it provided recommendations on counterterrorism, on transportation security, and it also defined or say assigned roles and missions to transportation security relevant authorities at federal, state, regional, and local scales, and to private stakeholders. Okay, so this commission defined the roles and responsibilities of different agencies and stakeholders from private and public sectors. And after the commission, there was another law, very important, you should remember it. It's called the Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act. This law was established to address the recommendations from 911 Commission. Right, I mentioned before, after they finished their job, the commission provided recommendations on counterterrorism and transportation security, and this act was established to make sure that these recommendations are addressed. And this act changed the way the how can I say changed the speaking of commission a little bit on transportation security rules and missions. According to the Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act, it sets forth the agreed upon roles and missions of federal, state, regional, and local authorities related to transportation security, and establishes mechanisms for encouraging private sector cooperation in the implementation of such plan. This plan refers to the plan for transportation security. Okay, so yeah, I would say the 911 Commission and the IRTPA after the commission, they were first people and the laws who defined the roles and responsibilities of transportation security agencies first after 9/11. Okay, and besides, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, also say defined roles and responsibilities of themselves in transportation security. Okay, defined their own roles and responsibilities in transportation security. From 2010, DHS issued 3 documents that are related to their own roles and responsibilities in transportation security. Okay, the first document is called Quadrennial Homeland Security Review Report. Okay, and the second one is called the Bottom-up Review Report. Okay, the first one, the key current roles and responsibilities of the many actors were derived largely from statutes, presidential directives, and other authorities. Okay, and the bottom-up review report addresses how DHS organizational structure aligns with the Homeland Security mission defined by QHSR. So these 2 documents, they're related to each other. And you should know that these 2 reports, they are not only for transportation security. Okay, transportation security is only a small part of the job of DHS. Okay, these 2 reports, the limitation of them is that there is this absence of a full consideration of the roles of other federal departments and agencies. This is a potentially serious limitation in both the QHSR and the bottom-up review. Why? Because you should know that the budget for DHS is only around half of the budget for the national security of US, which means that these 2 reports, they are only responsible to address the issues, the roles and responsibilities of DHS in national security. So it's not covering the whole realm. Okay, only half of the fund, of the total fund used on national security is for DHS. Okay, And for DHS itself, it's a huge cabinet department. I will just introduce it later in this lecture, okay? Because obviously it's a very important agency, government agency related to transportation security. And the third document from DHS is Transportation System SSP. Okay, what is SSP? I mentioned it here, right? It's called sector specific plans. Okay, and you should also know these plans, they are not only for transportation security, but TSA and Coast Guard, they are leading agencies for the transportation systems SSP. So they are tasked to establish transportation security plans. Okay, let's get back. So transportation as system SSP, it directs TSA and Coast Guard as lead agencies for transportation sector to collaborate with Department of Transportation to prevent, protect against, respond to, and recover from all hazards. Okay, these hazards, they are, of course, they are against the transportation systems, right? And for specifically TSA, full name is Transportation Security Administration. If you have ever used an airport or use a passenger train service, you should have seen them before, especially in airports, right? So the role of TSA is the authority for security of the aviation and land modes. Okay, so airports and the bus stations, Amtrak stations, they are working for this different types of secure transportation security, and supporting the Coast Guard as the lead for maritime security. Their responsibilities include assessing intelligence, issuing and enforcing security directives, and ensuring the adequacy of security measures at transportation facilities. Okay, that's the reason why you can always say TSO personnel in airport doing passenger examination, and they also check bags and luggages, cargos. Okay, they're also responsible for assuring effective and timely distribution of intelligence to sector partners. Okay, TSA is for aviation and land modes. On the other hand, Coast Guard on transportation security. So they are authority for port and waterway security. Okay, the third mode. And the Coast Guard has a long history. Okay, it was established by U.S. Congress in 1790. Okay, and now it is a part of Department of Homeland Security, and because today is peaceful time. Okay, during peaceful time, Coast Guard is a part of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and in wartime it can be transferred to the Department of who? Navy. So it can be transferred to a military unit in wartime. So in peacetime, Coast Guard's responsibilities include conducting port facility and commercial vessel inspections, and coordinating maritime information sharing and supporting incident response in coordination with the Department of Defense. So you can say part of its job is still military related. Okay, it is it cooperates with the Department of Defense. Okay, and transportation system SSP, besides assigning roles to TSA and the United States Coast Guard also provides role and responsibilities and responsibility descriptions in individual model annexes. Okay, for example, the division of responsibilities between TSA, Federal Transit Administration, and Federal Railroad Administration. Obviously, TSA has a higher level than FTA and FRA because it is a part of DHS. But since TSA is responsible for aviation and land transportation security, it has to collaborate with FTA and FRA, okay, with respect to the security of mass transit systems. Okay, so those are the responsibilities and roles for TSA and U.S. Coast Guard. So next, I want to introduce Department of Homeland Security. It has been mentioned many times in this lecture, right? So it was created on March 1st of 2003. So DHS was established from 22 existing federal departments and agencies. You should know that the Homeland Security Act was a response to 9/11 attacks, and DHS is the result of Homeland Security Act. So DHS itself is also a response to 9/11 attack, 9/11 attack. It used only month, okay, because the act was passed in 2002. Let's make sure that. Yeah, the Homeland Security Act was passed in 2002, and in less than a year's time, Department of Homeland Security was created. Okay, and from 22 existing federal departments and agencies. Considering how big this project, this establishment was, you can feel the determination of U.S. government on counterterrorism, on transportation security. Okay, now DHS has more than 240,000 employees working for them. And at the very beginning, 22 existing federal agencies and departments were involved in the establishing of DHS. So here is a list. I'll say, okay, there are two columns. The first column is for all those agencies before DHS, and after DHS, they were combined. They were combined to form the DHS. So today they have different names and they have maybe similar or different responsibilities. We can say it's a huge table. Can you imagine that in months you have to just redistribute these resources from 22 departments and form a new agency? The transfer of personnel, okay, all those coordinations and bureaucracy, okay, so it was a big project. And now DHS is the third largest cabinet department of the United States government. Who's the first and second largest one? The first is Department of Defense. The second is Department of Veteran Affairs, and DHS is the third largest one. Okay, so in 2013, GAO. What is GAO? Government Accountability Office. Okay, so it is an overseer of the federal government to supervise, to oversee the government. Report on DHS indicated that it has implemented key homeland security operations and achieved important goals and milestones in many areas. It means that in general, a GAO, this government overseeing office, was satisfied with what DHS had done by 2013, which was 10 years after the establishment of this huge cabinet department. But more work remains for DHS to address gaps and weaknesses. So yeah, that's a necessary part of their report, right? You can always say, I like your job, but there is something like there are things 1, 2, 3 you can improve, right? So in general, DHS has been working well, okay, on national security, and of course, transportation security is part of it, is part of its job, okay. So I will stop here, and I will use another video to finish this lecture, and I will start from the structure of Homeland Security, of Department of Homeland Security. You can say it's a huge department, and some of them are related to transportation security, some of them are not. Okay, I will provide more details later next video. Okay, thank you.